I was in the middle of recording all of this stuff and I realized that I hadn't done an intro video for what I was going to do for video 2 talking about all of my digital organization. So without further ado, this is the second part of my collection, how I organize, but digital. This is how I organize my collection on my computer. So I kind of have it in two ways. I'm an old person. I would call myself an old soul, but I just cannot pick up technology very well. I do have some other things, very few other things. You'll see my collection starts with Atame, which is the soundtrack for a Almodovar movie from Spain. But most of my collection is comprised of cast albums. In these, I can't really organize these any other way. I guess I could do them somehow by date, but I prefer to do these all by title alphabetically. And I can't really change anything as far as, if I wanted my Andaloid Weber to come first. Obviously, it doesn't because we're starting up here with numbers with Three Musketeers. I don't remember if that one started in the Netherlands or Germany, but it is a European musical. I only have the Hungarian recording actually. And then I also have this organized. You'll see I have different colored dots on here, and that just kind of means physically whether I have it or whether there's not a physical version, or if I have a physical version, if I need to buy a new one. I do have this Addams Family, but I believe it's scratched. So blue being my favorite color, that just means I have it. It's satisfactorily scanned into my computer. I've got pictures as well of the packaging, which I'll show you in a moment. But this one, for example, I really need to buy a new copy of this for my collection because the one I have is really in not so great condition. But just to kind of show you, of course, I've got cast albums that were released officially. There are some that have singles on them. I need to get a different cover picture here for Little Night Music from Vienna, but this is what I could find. The disc that it comes on, it has a really, really ugly cover because it's on a compilation. This cover is actually the one that's been floating around everywhere. This is not a real cover. This is not the artwork that was used for the Viennese production. So I try not to associate that with the folders that I have in my collection here. Also, I'm talking a lot with my hands, and you can't see my hands since I'm doing a screen cap. So just envision me talking a lot with my hands. But as I was saying, I do like to scan these covers into the computer so that I don't necessarily have to touch my physical collection. So I'm trying to find a good example with CDs here, for example. Go with Anything Goes from London. So I have, all of the tracks here, and then I've got the cover. Usually I try to keep the same name here, like the label of it, cover, back, disc. Sometimes it has an inlay, but most of the scans that I have are mine, and so this is my scan of the 1989 recording. Also take the back inlay out, fold it out flat so I can see kind of what it looks like on both sides if I'm ever looking for it and I can't figure out what the heck it looks like or the spine looks like. And even I'll put the disc on. And I do kind of doctor these in a way that I kind of take out the center unless they have numbers, like a catalog number or something there, just so it looks better. And I'll show you why I want this to look good when I show you my iTunes. And then, of course, I also do scans of the liner notes. So I just kind of lay those out flat over here on my scanner. So I've got the information here, and I don't have to get fingerprints all over my beautiful collection. That's really what I do for CDs. I have a little CD player that I plug into my computer that I can rip them on. That way they don't really run much of a risk of being scratched later on. So just kind of scrolling through all these recordings I have. If there's anything you're interested in, I would love to do a video on every single one of these. So just kind of let me know. Some of these are a little bit more problematic to scan in. This, for example, is not really the cover that is put out there for the Cats 2019 recording from Japan, just because it doesn't scan terribly well, but that's what it actually looks like. It's got these kind of holographic flecks in there. But that's really kind of what the box looks like, even though I'm looking at it right now to the side, and it just kind of looks like a black box with a few kind of flex on there. It just doesn't scan very well, but that's actually what the cover looks like. And so that's what I put on the actual folder here. You will notice, obviously, that I have a lot of these that have come out on CD. So, of course, they're easy to rip and then put on my computer. However, you'll notice, let's see what is not available on CD. You think it would be easy to find. Okay, Avita from Mexico, for example. This one was a little bit more difficult because I had to rip this from the vinyl. I use down here Vinyl Studio to kind of speak for my record player to speak to my computer. Truth be told, maybe it's not the best system that I could have. It's not very specific when dealing with pops and cracks. It just kind of scans the whole thing, takes out pops and cracks, but it sounds a little distant at times. But at least I have a lot of these albums that have never been available anywhere else on my computer, therefore on my phone that I can listen to. This recording of Evita from 1981, Mexico City. The way that they're labeled, I don't necessarily like this. This is the way that Vinyl Studio spits them out, but at least they are organized well. But in this case, I definitely took numerous scans and kind of Frankenstein them together. That's not actually my best one. Kind of Frankenstein them together so that it looks exactly like what I want it to look like whenever I transfer this over into my phone. So it looks kind of like a CD cover. Sometimes, every once in a blue moon, well, here's some more of the liner notes. Also Frankenstein this one together because obviously my scanner is not large enough to scan all of this into. And then what else? Sometimes, once in a blue moon, like I was saying, I'll kind of make a mock CD back. Just so if I were to ever like kind of print this out and put it with my CD collection at some point and rip it to a CD, that I just have something pretty to look at the back. They're not all great. I am not a graphic designer by any stretch of the imagination, so take this for what you will. And then also, there's some just kind of odds and ends that have to do recordings. Sometimes I'll find videos on YouTube and download those. But if there's any way, this one is an interview with Rocío Banquez, Valeria Lynch, who was the alternate, and Jaime Garza. I find this to be important, and I think the best place to keep these types of videos is with the actual recording itself, because I can refer to everything all at once. And then somebody also sent me one time the background tracks for this production. Interestingly enough, this production did not have a live orchestra. So the Unión Filarmónica Mexicana was, oh my goodness, I can't even remember. I think they were actually conducted by Jorge Neri, although it might have been Gemignani. I can't remember who actually conducted. Here it says Jorge Neri, who was legendary in Mexican musical theater. But so that's kind of how I organize my collection. As far as what I have on my disk drive, this is all external, so I can take this with me anywhere, plug it into any computer, and then if I want to listen to something, of course, I can just open it up, head from Tel Aviv, open it up, and then if I double click on it, then it will it'll open up in my iTunes, but it's not the file that I have saved in my iTunes. It'll just play independently through iTunes, so that I can listen to any of these that I want to. They just wouldn't be part of a playlist necessarily. Something else you might see that I also do is I have two different folders for the same recording. There is no difference between these two Prague recordings of Jesus Christ Superstar from 1995. These are the live ones. Got the studio one over here. These are the live ones. The reason I kept these separate is because I have different iTunes. I didn't group these by name. Different iTunes playlists, and I also like to put some of the production photos that are available in the liner notes. I like to assign them to certain songs so I can kind of see that when I'm listening to the number. And also so I can see specifically what the packaging looks like for this physical release. And do not worry, I did not cut this up. I think somebody asked me if I'd cut this up. No, I actually just kind of pieced this together as well, so that you would see what both of the spines look like from the front. And then of course I have the same thing from the back here at some point. I don't know which one, probably this one. No, that's just one side. But no, I did not cut up my beautiful Prague Jesus Christ Superstar slip. So anyway, that's what my collection looks like as far as on my disk drive. So if you have any questions about all of these recordings, there's anything that's kind of popping out, please let me know. Like I said, I could probably do a full video, 15 minutes to an hour on each one of these recordings. And if you see something weird, of course, some things are going to stick out to you. This Phantom from Tartu, for example. Those are just singles from the officially released Memory Gold that came out through the Vanhamusa Theater in Tartu in Estonia. So not all of these, I wouldn't say all of them are official releases because I have done a little bit of cheating whenever I make a folder for some of these, but that's okay. It is my collection and I will do with it as I so choose. So yeah, I'm just kind of scanning through here. So if anybody wants to hit the pause button and look and see what's in the collection, what I have as far as being able to listen to everybody's favorite Tell Me on a Sunday from Finland here. So yeah, if there's anything that anybody wants to listen to, I've got everything from Three Musketeers all the way down to Zorba. So that is my disk drive right there. I was done. You were very wrong. So that's only kind of part of as far as how I organize my collection. Um, the other one was, what I have on my disk drive. And then, so I put everything into iTunes. So that way I can manually put it on my phone. Like I said, I know I'm not up with, I don't know how clouds work. I don't know how to organize those things. Of course, I can store a lot there, but I don't know how to, um, I don't know how to get things organized that way. So I just kind of do it the old-fashioned way. I probably was a librarian in another life. Of course, I was talking about hair the other day in my last video, so that's kind of what I have pulled up here. But you can see here on the left, these are all of my playlists that I've made, and I'll show you kind of how I organize those whenever I put them into the playlist. I don't know, we're going to go random here and see if there's anything that just is super interesting to me that I want to talk about today. Talk a lot about hair. Okay, let's stop wasting time, Tyler. Let's do this. All right, let's take a look at Pippin from Johannesburg, for example. That one's up on my wall. So this is what it looks like whenever I click on a playlist here. It's got the cover art up here that I've scanned myself. I think this one I had to Frankenstein together. That might be an ever so faint line in there, but hopefully we can't see it. And then, I put them in order the way that I feel like I need to. So it'll give me, all the information, how many songs are there, how long the list is. And then I'll go through and I'm really kind of a stickler. I know that there are different capitalization rules and it depends on the language. For example, Johannesburg, of course, in South Africa, they speak English. So, I've kind of capitalized things the way that we would capitalize titles in English, I think. Hopefully, I think that a lot of prepositions and articles are not. If they are, so sorry about it. This is kind of the way that I see it. But, for Mexico City, for example, which I need to rescan because I'm not very happy with the scan that I have. Actually, only the first word of a title of a song is capitalized in most languages. So, what I'll do is I'll go through and fix the ones, if they're sent to me by friends or if I've scanned them and it just kind of comes through strangely on Vinyl Studio, then I'll come back through and decapitalize things so that they just look right to my eyes. Anyway, going back to Pippin from Johannesburg. I like to organize, of course, by I'm about to get really specific and really weird here, so I still hope I have a couple of followers after this because you might consider me to be too OCD and then I might need to be locked up. But I will put any singers in order that they appear as soloists, and then I'll, of course, put the ensemble at the end if the ensemble does sing part or majority of the number. Of course, we have Magic to Do if anybody knows the show. Most people probably do if they're listening to this channel. Sammy Brown plays the leading player. Then you have the rest of the ensemble kind of in, there are some solo lines from some of the other characters, but they're part of the ensemble at this time. And also on the first track, I also like to write, the band or orchestra so I can mention who was the conductor. Bill Fairley was the conductor of this recording. Now, if there's an orchestral only track or band only track later on, then I'll just put band or orchestra conducted by so-and-so, just so I have that information available to me. Going into the information on this track, I'm about to get even weirder. the album and album artist are the same always for me. It's show, year, city most of the time, unless it's a tour. Of course, my artists here are in that order. And then composer, usually I'll do composer, lyricist, and translator. I'll show you on a different recording that has translator, just kind of what that looks like. But in this case, it's in English, and it was only Stephen Schwartz who wrote the music and the lyrics. So that takes care of itself there. And then, most of these will show up under musicals. And then I put the year. Um, I know people will be divided about this. I don't always put the year that it was recorded in if I know that it was recorded in a different year than the premiere. Sometimes I'll put that down here in comments. But I was talking about the Miss Saigon recording from Copenhagen. That opened kind of mid to late 1996, but it wasn't recorded until summer of 1997. So in my list, I will put the 1996 Copenhagen cast recording, and if there are any discrepancies that I know of between the original cast and when the show was recorded, then I'll put that information here in the comments. Yep, I'm weird. I'm weird. I'm weird. But what I try to do, and I have kind of broken my own rule on this because I didn't do this with the Pippin recording. I'll put the main cover art up here. Most of the songs I'll keep with the original cover art, but I also like to put the back cover on there. So that goes with artwork. So I can see the back cover. So when I put it on my phone, that's going to be available to me if I ever need to look at what the packaging looks like. It's all there. And then for vinyls, I will try to do, let me see if I can find one that I am 100% certain that I've done it the way that I do with the rest of my recordings. Let's see, surely some Rocky I have done properly, or surely I haven't. Oh my gosh, I'm about to eat my words here while I'm showing people these. Oh, well, I'll also put in some production stills if I can find them, because this recording of Rocky Horror Show, for example, not a lot out there on this production itself, and so it's really cool to see some of the photos while you're listening to the actor singing it. But yeah, it looks like I'm just kind of eating my words right now because I generally try to do something a little bit different with my vinyls. I know I'm kind of striking out on my vinyl collection. Let's see if I can find something. I know I've done some of these properly. Was on a My Fair Lady kick lately. Let's find this Norwegian tour. Okay. So I will usually start with the front cover. And I know some of the colors on these are on the pinkish red side. My display is a little bit funky. It has been brought to my attention, but also the cover of this is a little bit on the red side anyway, but that's beside the point. So I'll put with the first track, I'll put the regular cover, then I'll put the back cover here on the second track, and then generally on the third track is where I will put the label that's actually on the record. I will scan that as well, or take a picture, just depending on the situation. And then, of course, since it is a vinyl, I'll always go in and put, where side two starts is where I'll put the other side of the vinyl. Very specific, super stupid, I know, but I'm just kind of an OCD person, so that's kind of what I like to do there. Whenever it comes down to CDs, for example, let's see if I did the Lisbon My Fair Lady properly. I did. I'll do something similar. I'll do the front cover here and on most of the tracks. Back cover, what the back cover for, no, that's not it, artwork. The back cover for the Lisbon cast recording of My Fair Lady looks like. And then I'll also scan the disc. I definitely take very good care of these whenever I do that, but I just always like to see what the packaging looks like. That's part of the fun of getting an actual physical cast recording as opposed to the digital version. You just kind of get to see what all the packaging looks like. And then once again, on some of these, I've put the some of the liner notes here so I can look at that on my phone whenever I've transferred it. And actually on this one, with a little bit of luck here on this track, this is what the inlay of the CD looks like. So, if it's a clear CD case and you can kind of see through there what's behind the disc, sometimes if it's interesting, I'll put it in there as well. I just thought this was a kind of interesting, I think these are called penny farthings, but what I think is most interesting is it has training wheels on it, obviously for the stage to make it safe, but I thought that was kind of funny. So yeah, that's what my little collection looks like here in iTunes. So if you got any questions about how to organize in iTunes, I'm your guy. And I kind of want to hear from everybody else. What is your way that you organize things electronically and physically? So there are a couple more things that I wanted to show you, just how I keep track of my collection here. Huge shout out to castalbums.org. This was really kind of the original way that online, I had an online version of my collection. Of course, there are no audio files here, but we get a lot of information. This is the landing page here for castalbums.org. Please, please, please go in here and set up a profile so that you can put your recording on there, and then you can see what you have, and you can also show other collectors what you have. It's a really, really great community. I will say that the forums are not the most active, but they're getting a lot more active. I would say these are from the last few weeks, so we definitely have a good little community going on there. And they've got little different headers here. Recent releases that have just come out, upcoming releases that are about to come out. Can't wait for this Elizabeth recording, this little EP. But you could search through the EP, not the EP, the database by many different in different ways, by show, recording, releases. You can read, and then some of the community information. There are some blog posts every once in a while, maybe not that many lately, and then the forums here as well. If you want to start a new topic or look at past topics that have kind of scrolled down past the most recent ones. But the cool thing about this, I think, is all the information that's available. This is my information. I'm TX Tyler, and I can show you kind of my collection here. This goes in alphabetical order, of course, with a lot of different, if you have a different alphabet, these are all the Avita recordings that I own, Elizabeth. So, this is in Japanese script. And so it kind of starts with those other scripts, but, goes through this whole page. You can, 10 per page. I don't know why I have it 10 per page. I should do 100 per page so I don't have to refresh all the time. But yeah, starting up here with 101 Dálmatas, 1776. And then we start going into the titles. What I will say, these are alphabetically listed by the title that is on the recording. So Ab in den Wald, for example, is Into the Woods from Germany. So you might have to do a little bit of searching around if you're looking at what you own as far as shows that have a different title in other countries. But when you've got an Elizabeth, Aida, Anastasia, Anastasia, mostly Annie, it gets a little bit out of order because in Latin America they do call her Anita la Huerfanita, or at least in Mexico. So sometimes they can get a bit out of order. Annie Get Your Gun as well, if the title is translated like Ania Su Tiro. Obviously the 76 recording from Mexico came after the Broadway recording. But it just had a slightly different title. So yeah, so this is another great way to organize your collection here. It looks very similar to my CD and vinyl collection. If I were to put these next to each other, they would almost be identical, barring a few things. Of course, some things are really like only an audio file, and it'll tell you, or a radio broadcast, for example. I certainly have this in audio format on my computer, but there was never a physical release, so it's just something that someone luckily recorded, and then I have in my collection. But just so you can see what this looks like whenever you click on a page, I'm trying to think of one that probably has a lot of great information in it. Let's go with Cabaret from Vienna. I've spoken about this one many a time. You get the different, well, first of all, you get all the credits here. What is available? It's not always available. There are some recordings that don't credit very well, or sometimes it can be a little bit time consuming to put in information, but I'm very thankful for the information that we do have. What I most like is seeing information about the production itself. Theater an der Wien in Austria, Vienna, sung in German. Translator was Robert Gilbert. Johannes Fehring was the conductor. And then you also, you get information for, cabaret in general. This was just a reproduction of another production. Of course, you're going to have the same orchestrations from Don Walker, the original dance music, obviously, from David Baker. And then you get the cast. And not only do you get their names, you can click on their names and see what else they have appeared in. So Violetta Ferrari, for example, looks like I don't have any of her other recordings, but if I wanted to, I could find her on Irma la Douce, Stop the World, I Want to Get Off, Can Can, Mein Leben, Meine Lieder. I guess that's a solo album, and then some compilations she's been on. But you can find that, and in some other recordings, I will actually say who they play. I'll see if I can find one coming up. But let's say like Blanche Aubry, MC. Liadulitskaya Fräulein Schneider. So you can tell who plays what. And then you get some information from other users here. Looks like I've contributed somewhere along the line. Don't remember doing that. You can start a forum thread over here if you would like, or any links that might be pertinent to this production or recording. One of my favorite things is seeing these votes over here. Not a lot of people use the voting, honestly. I certainly do. This is one of my favorite recordings of Cabaret, so I gave it 5 stars. And it looks like people mostly agree with me, but we've got 3 votes here. You've got the stats. My internet is going a little slowly right now, but most of the time you can see. Oh, the little graphic is not working right now. But most of the time you can see how other people. Oh no, I don't need a graphic. I'm sorry. Someone else gave it 5 stars, and then Dizzy Miss Lizzie gave it 4. So overall, it seems that people really enjoy it. And between the 3 of us, we've kind of rated it at a 4.7 out of 5. And then you get to look at the releases down here. In full disclosure, they're not always, you can't have every single release of every recording because some recordings have been released hundreds of times. But this is really cool because it shows you, first of all, the audio file from Pricer, and it gives you links to where you can actually listen to it. So if you have Spotify and you're already paying for it, by all means, listen to it there. Or Apple Music, or iTunes, or Apple Music. Most of the time, something is on, I'm sorry, Amazon Music and Apple Music and iTunes. Most of the time, if you can buy something on iTunes, you can also stream it with Apple Music. So if you're paying for that monthly service, you can just click on that. It'll take you exactly to the app or website that you use to listen to that music, and then just listen to it. So, if you are a subscriber to any of those, a lot of times if you see this under stream, you will have access to that recording and you don't have to buy it, or you can test it before you get the physical release if you would like to. So that's just the audio file there. There were a few songs that were released on this compilation here, as you can see from Gigi. I was going to say Smiles of a Summer Night. That's the movie. Little Night Music. Zorba. Pippin, I think, is also on this one somewhere. Yeah, Pippin. Anyway, so the compilation here. So there are a few numbers from this production that show up in the compilation. So it is listed under this recording. Sometimes the images don't. I know that there's been an issue lately as far as uploading images, but I think that's getting under control. But this is the CD release from Pricer. And so, you have the scans here. Some of these might be my scans, my old scans from an old printer. But what the liner notes look like. And then there was another CD release from Spectrum. So you can kind of see what the cover of that looks like, even though the recording itself is not any different. And then the LP release, which is ever so slightly different. You think it looks just the same, but there are no credits up here for the record label. Color is also slightly different, but this one says Originalaufnahme from Theater an der Wien, and then price of records. So there are slight differences there, and for collectors, it definitely makes a difference. So that's one of the ways that I like to organize my collection. Once again, if this is something that you're interested in, if you want to get this CD, for example, this CD release, always double check. But if you go to Amazon.com, let's see what it says. Yeah, looks like they have a couple. That kind of redirects me to a different recording. I don't even know what recording it is because this is the cover for a re-release from the 1986 London version, but then the credits up here for Judi Dench, Caroline O'Connor, Maria Friedman are from the J Complete Studio Cast recording, so I don't know what all that is. But you can find it from other places. Also, there's no link for Amazon Germany. Friends don't let friends buy from Amazon France, so we're not even going to click on that. But you can also find these recordings from other Amazons. Sound of Music, for example, this will take you to the Sound of Music website. Looks like that one's not available from them anymore. But if something is available from Sound of Music, you can click on that. It will take you to the Sound of Music website. And then the last thing that I really wanted to show you as far as organizing, I know this video will be very long, but I think it's for the best. So Discogs is another website that I use, and I talk about it all the time. You can find different recordings on, like I said, Sound of Music through Germany. Amazon has a lot of great recordings. Trying to think of some other ones. Sadly, we don't have Dress Circle or Footlight anymore. But other than eBay, where I get a lot of my records and even CDs, it doesn't really matter what format it's in. If there's a physical format, then you can most likely find it here on Discogs. So not only do I have my collection very much like in cast albums, you'll see that I didn't know how to record a screen, so Googled how to record my screen for you. Um, so this is my collection. This is in the order that I put them in the collection. I kind of hit up the J sale over at MVD, which I'll mention a little bit later. I don't get paid by any of these companies, just to remind you. I just think we all need to have this information if we want to save money while we are collecting. But I just hit up the MVD sale for the J recordings. They were very, very, very cheap. So I decided to get these. They're coming in the mail right now. Of course, I just got Starlight Express, the Zoetrope vinyl, and then sometimes people will add things that I realize that are not part. They're actually in my collection, but I haven't put them in my collection because they weren't listed yet. So this is a new listing for the little CDR that came out from. I don't know why it says Saga Pan. That's the original record label, Stage Door Records. Thank you so much for releasing these studio and cast recordings. They're announced on Saturday and they're sold out by the end of the day on Saturday. But where else would we get these in such great sound quality? So thank you, Stage Door Records. But I'll just add what I get recently. Of course, this Peden Henki, the Tell Me on Sunday from Finland. I think these two are my pictures that I've scanned in right here, but these are not. There she is in all her glory. I think I am going to mention Laura Antikainen in just about every video that I do from here on out. If I do not, my apologies. Let me know down in the comments, and I will, just put a screenshot of the cover there because it's one of the most glorious covers ever made. Once again, you can just kind of scroll through these. This is what I actually own, and then I can just kind of see what I think I can. Yeah, I can put them in order, just by like year, catalog number, title. Title gets a little bit weird because these are added by collectors and not Discogs as a company necessarily. So, this one, for example, this is the sort of EP that Valeria Lynch, the alternate Evita from 1981 in Mexico City, recorded. Long story why she did another recording. She was working for another label, and so she could only release through, what was it, Philips, I think? Yeah, Philips. So in this case, it's called Valeria Lynch Canta Evita. So Valeria Lynch sings Evita, but of course it goes by artist and then the name of the album. So Valeria Lynch, the artist, and then Canta Evita is it's strange. So obviously if I put this in alphabetical order, it would not show up under Evita, it would show up under Canta Evita. But yeah, just kind of looking through all these recordings. This is what I have, and this is, I think, the easiest way I can keep track of these, and also keep an idea of, like when I croak, when I kick the bucket, this is what my husband is going to have to come to. I hope he's watching this video. This is what he's going to have to come to figure out exactly like what the going price is for each recording and how much people have spent on it in the past, if it's ever sold before. I'm trying to think of one that I have that might. I think this is probably a good example. If my husband is watching, I don't want him to know how much I've spent on other recordings. But I think I did find the South African recording of Evita that's in this direction on my wall. I think I found that one on Discogs. That's how much I paid for it. Sorry, Jorge. So, that's how much I paid for it because I'm the only one that's seemingly ever bought it on Discogs, because the low, median, and high, the price is all the same. So that kind of goes to show you that it's only been sold one time. You can even look at stats about. I hate these things. Oh, I didn't have to do the puzzle. Great. Yeah, sold just once, and I guess that was the copy that I got. All of that is to say that you have a plethora of information here. You can even put the quality, not quality, quality, the condition. I think it's right in front of my eyes. The condition in which you have it, add some little notes here. You can put them in subfolders. There's just so much information here about, got cover art, and that kind of puts it all in some kind of order for you so you can see what you have. And then, if you just want to say, well, I'm looking at Discogs, how many Evita recordings do I have, for example? Kind of go through and look and see in my actual collection here, as far as Evita recordings are concerned, that are actually listed on Discogs. They're not always, and you can add your own there. You can certainly send me a message if you have any questions about doing that. I think I've mostly got it down, but not 100%. There are a lot of it also time consuming. But you can see on here which recordings of Avita I have that are in Discogs, and then once again, I can go in for the Dutch cast recording, for example. So like I said, when I kick the bucket, my husband can say, okay, well, if I'm selling off his collection, I can sell it anywhere between $5.38 or $21.42, unless something weird happens and this recording becomes quite unavailable. It is out of print, but for example, you see up here, there's 6 copies for sale. And so if you do want to buy, that's the thing I forgot to mention about this that's most important about Discogs. You can buy these recordings. People put them up for sale. It's not just to show what they have in their collection. So just depending on what you'll put up with for the price, this is a great price. 13.44. This is shipped from the Netherlands to the US. It's only €3.50, €9 shipping, and then that's kind of what it will be in Texas. Thank you, Texas, for that sales tax that we have to pay on top of everything. I can't remember what the percentage is, but it's pretty high for my liking. But anyway, so all that is to say that it's probably going to be like $16, $17 shipped to Texas to my house. Media condition, that would be the CD itself, very good plus. And then the sleeve condition, almost mint. So it should look brand new, except for it's not in the packaging. Yeah, so if you ever want to buy this, I hope I have opened up some doors for some people, because if you ever wanted to find some of these weird things, and some of them are what I used to consider very, very difficult to find, and now are maybe not so difficult to find for me because I can always search here on Discogs. So, oh, here's a little freebie for some of you. I know some of you are looking for this recording of Hair from Iceland. I know there are 2 copies available, and I think one of them is in mint condition. Yeah, so if you ever wanted to find this, just type in Howdith or any of the song titles, or it doesn't have a record label, but Nimen de Filag. There, you can search for them in many ways. There are 2 copies that are for sale. Very good plus from one. The other one is near mint, and there's $5 difference in pricing. So snatch it up, snatch it up. This one's actually now I'm giving away my secrets because this is actually in my shopping cart. I just don't want to pull the trigger just yet. But of course, snatch it out from under me. It's not going to hurt my feelings at all. I bet it'll be listed again. But up until recently, I didn't know that I would ever find this in my lifetime. And then through Discogs, I've been able to find a lot of rare recordings. Also, a little shout out here. Olafur is a very good seller. I've bought from him before. He's very trustworthy. If you're in the United States, at least, the shipment will arrive very quickly. And I assume if you're in Europe, even quicker. So yeah, that is my collection on here. One last thing that I'll show you on here, and then I'll shut up for today. What's on my want list? There's some things. I just got this one, but I would like to find it in better condition than what I have it, so I keep it on my want list, and I also put it in my collection. So I'll show you what it looks like here. Shows up. They said it was in near mint condition. I need to put a little note on here that says the actual outer sleeve. When they say sleeve condition, they mean like the plastic case. Just a little note on here that the outer slip is maybe very good, not very good plus, but very good. But like I said, I want to find it. So it's still in my collection that I added it 16 days ago, and I re-added it to my want list because I would like to find it in better condition. So I got some weird stuff in here. Other stuff that I already have in, at least like one format that maybe I want to find in another format, or, I've spoken about Tell Me on a Sunday from Sweden, for example. Just want to find it in better condition. So these are all the weird things that I don't have, or I need to get a better copy of it. Cats from Norway, I've got that, but my copy has a little bit of ring wear on it, so I want to find a kind of a pristine looking copy. As you can see, a lot of these are for sale. I just haven't gotten around to them. There's only so much money and only so much time. And only so much space, looking at the amount of space that I have. I would love to get the Showboat set on vinyl. That's what this one is. I have the 3 CD set, which obviously takes up less space. But where am I going to put this? But I think it's a beautiful packaging. So I'd like to get that whenever I win the lottery and buy a mansion. So yeah, this is Discogs. So I hope that you've learned something from, kind of my digital collections and want lists as well, and how to organize those. And maybe hopefully I've opened your eyes, not only to that, but also where to buy some of these rare recordings. So once again, if you have any question about how to use either castalbums.org, Discogs, or even websites like Sound of Music Shop, Amazon, eBay, write me a message. I'm more than happy to kind of talk you through it, so we can find the recording that you've always been looking for. So take that for what it is. So again, thank you for joining me, even though it has been chaotic. I kind of exposed my my little recording area in here, and also my computer and everything that I've got on there. But I just wanted to share that with you. Once again, if you have any questions about anything that I've spoken about in these videos, be it physically or digitally, just let me know. You can write me messages. I guess you could write me a message on Instagram. I'm gonna try to use my Instagram a little bit more. I have not been using it very much, but you can write me there. You can write a comment down below. Of course, as always, like the video, and most importantly, subscribe so that I can, keep on doing these videos, because I love them so much. I don't know who's out there watching them, but I have a blast making them. So thank you very, very much for following and watching, and until next time, bye.